آمين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم اسمنا من الشيطان الرجيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. صلى الله تعالى على خلقه محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. الله أكبر. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Nobody can hear if you don't put the microphone to close to
Okay. Okay, is that better? Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور إن الشيطان لكم عدو فاتخذوه عدوا. Let not the shaitan deceive you about Allah. Indeed, shaitan is an enemy to you, so take him as an enemy. I would share with you a few other stories of how shaitan went about deceiving very pious people, and then talk about what we can learn from it now in our life today here. All of these have been documented in a very thick book by Imam Ibn Jawzi, rahmatullahi alayh, and the name of the book is Talbis Iblis. It's in Arabic language and has been translated in English as well as in different languages as well. So there's a beautiful example of Shaitan's deception in a story narrated in this book, reported by Wahb ibn Munabbih radiallahu anhu. It goes like this. There was a very pious worshipper in one of the tribes of Israel, Bani Israel. He was considered the most pious person of his time. He lived in a monastery by himself. He seldom came out of that place. He just lived there by himself. In the town, there were 3 brothers who had a young sister, unmarried. She was a virgin, and they did not have anybody else. The parents were gone, and it was somehow a wartime, so the brothers were called in to join the armies to go for the battle. They could not find anybody to look after their young sister. Finally, they said, why don't we go to this well-known pious man in the monastery and request him to take care of our sister while we are gone. So they went to him, and he initially refused. He says, I seek Allah's protection from Shaitan, the devil, and from the trials with women. He says, go away, don't come back here. They went away and they talked and talked about them amongst themselves, and they had no other choice. So they went back to this poor pious man and they begged him and says, please, there's nobody that we can trust with our young sister. Where would we leave her? We are summoned to go to war. So he said, all right. Right across his monastery, there was an empty little house. He says, just leave her there. I said, okay. So they left the young girl there. She must be in her late teens, early adult, something like this. What he used to do was every day he would take a plate of food and he would put outside the door of his monastery. And he would, call and says, come get your food. He's closed the door behind him And the girl would come out and take the food and go back to her room. Some time went by, then Shaitan came to him. Obviously, just to let you know, when Shaitan comes to you, he doesn't come looking like Shaitan. He doesn't have a horn or anything like this. He comes to you looking like a human. And he comes to you always like pretending to be a very pious person. So he came to him and he says, you're a very pious man, and you're doing a very good deed looking after this girl that nobody is there to look after in the absence of the brothers. But it's not right that she should have to come out from her room, cross the road, and then pick up the food from your doorstep. What if, like you go inside and you close the door? What if somebody does something to her? That's not safe, is it? This sounds really nice, isn't it? I want you to focus on every part of this story and see how Shaitan actually deceives you step by step by step by step. So this pious man says, that makes sense. She's just a young woman, and what if somebody takes advantage of her because I don't see her? I go close my door. So he started to take the food, cross the street, and then put the food in front of her door, knock the door, and come back. It continued on for a while. Then Shaitan came to him again. He said, she still has to come out of the door, doesn't she? What if you knock the door and just take the food to her inside and put it inside so she doesn't have to come out? Nothing wrong with it. I can just knock the door. When she opens, I'm just going to put the food inside the door and I'll come back. He's still thinking, yeah, I'm doing a good deed. He's still thinking, I'm doing a good deed. Every time Shaitan comes to you, he shows you something that make you feel this is good to do. I'm doing a good deed. This is really nice. It makes sense. So he did. Quite a time went by. Then Shaitan came back to him again. He said, don't you have any pity on this person? She's so lonely. She's nobody to talk to. And how would you survive? She's not a rahib like you are. She is a young person and she's very lonely. What if you just talk to her sometimes so that she has some company? She doesn't get so bored all 24/7. Okay, it's nothing majorly wrong with it. I can sit down and talk to her for a while. So he started to do that. He would take the food, knock on the door. When she comes out, he would walk inside, give the food, sit down, and talk to her while she ate. Now he started to enjoy her company as well. Remember what the Prophet ﷺ said? When there is a man and woman by themselves, the third one is Shaitan. So when he started to do this every day, the girl obviously was very beautiful. A young girl, very pretty. And like I mentioned to you in my previous talks, there is a natural attraction between men and women, which is natural. Nobody is spared of it. I don't care how pious you are, how religious you are, how ethical you are. It is not possible that when a man and woman are by themselves, or not even by themselves. If a man looks at a woman, or vice versa, and finds the person attractive, that he or she would not be attracted. Not possible. It's different that he or she may choose not to do much with it, but not attracted, not possible. So he started being attracted to her, and did not even realize it. Sometimes it went on, and then Shaitan came to him and she said, "She is pretty, isn't it? She's very pretty. And you are so lonely yourself." And he got her to start touching this woman and hugging this woman. And finally, he ended up committing zina with her. When he ended up committing zina with her, she became pregnant. When she became pregnant, Shaitan came to him and says, "Man, what did you do?" Look what he's saying. He says, "Man, what did you do? You committed zina with her." And like he sounded like a very pious person now. So he said, "What should I do now?" He says, "Well, her brothers are gone for a long time now. They're in the war. God only knows if they come back or not come back. Why don't you just kill her?" So she said, "I'm not going to kill her. She's pregnant. I can't kill her." When she delivered the baby, 9 months later. Now he says, now you're in great trouble, because now there's a proof of you having committed zina with her, because you were her chaperone. You were her ward. She was your ward. There's no way, if you got found out, then you would be hanged. You better kill them both and bury them. He became so scared that if I got caught, that I'm going to be in real trouble. All this name that I have as such a pious man, and all the reverence that I receive from people, all the respect I receive from people about being such a pious man, and all of my reputation would be gone. So he killed them both. He killed them, and he buried them somewhere far from the place that he lived, and also just created a fake grave inside the room where she was staying. Then the brothers came. The brothers came, and they went to him in the monastery to visit the sister. And he cried and says, "I'm so sorry to let you know that your sister ended up with a bad disease, and she became chronically ill, and she died. Here's his grave, the fake grave that was in the room inside." Obviously, as respectable as he was, they believed him. They cried, and they felt very sad that they were gone so long by themselves, and they thanked him for looking after the sister for so long. They apologized for having come so late, and they went. Then Shaitan went to one of the brothers, and in his dream told him that this person is lying to you. He actually had committed zina with your sister. She gave birth to a child, and he buried them for the fear that he's going to found out and punished. The brother woke up and says, "It's just a dream. It's not possible." The next day, he went to the second brother and told him the same thing, showed him the same thing. Says, "If you don't believe me, you can go and not the grave in the room where your sister is staying, but behind the house, go into the field and there's a grave. Dig it, and you'll find it. The second brother woke up in the morning and he did not pay any attention. This is just some shaitanic dream, and not possible. The third day, he went to the third brother and showed him the same dream. The third brother, when he saw the same dream, he came to his other brothers and said, "You know, last night I had a pretty devastating, pretty scary, bad dream." He says, what did you see?" So he told them what he saw. The second brother said, "I saw the same thing yesterday." And the first brother said, "I saw him 2 days ago." Says, "All three of us cannot be seeing the same dream. Let's go check up what's going on." So they went, and they went to the site that Shaitan had pointed out to him in the dream, that this is where you dig. And they dug, and they found the bodies of their sister and the baby. He got caught, he was taken to the court, and he was going to be hanged. Then Shaitan comes to him and said, "I have a way to save you from hanging. I was the one who made you do all those things. I'm Shaitan. But I can save you, nobody else can. I have my ways that I can protect you from being hung." He says, "What is this?" He says, "Just make sajda to me. Just make sajda to me, worship me, and then I'll find a way to let you go free." You know, when a person is that in state of mind, then they think that some real harm is going to come to them if they did not do something really wrong. They will go ahead and do it, because life always is valuable. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to be hanged. So he prostrated. When he prostrated before him, Shaitan left him and he was crucified. This is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. كمثل الشيطان إذ قال للإنسان اكفر. كمثل الشيطان إذ قال للإنسان اكفر. فلما كفر قال إني بريء منك إني أخاف الله رب العالمين. The hypocrites are like Shaitan when he tells men to disbelieve, but when he disbelieves, Shaitan says, "I am absolved of you. I have nothing to do with you. Indeed, I fear Allah, the Lord of all the worlds." This is what he's going to tell all of us in the day of judgment. In the day of judgment, all of us, all human beings who obeyed him, who followed him, who did his bidding, they are going to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then say, "You know, Ya Allah, he this person, this Iblis, deceived us. He led us astray." And Iblis will be there and he says, "Mm-mm, I had no power to lead you astray. I had no power to make you disobey Allah. I just invited you to do it. And you accepted it. Not my fault. There's nothing I can do to help you today." My dear brothers and listening sisters, if anybody listening, please remember something. In the day of judgment, when Allah would hold us accountable for everything that we did, no excuse will be useful. We will not be able to blame our parents, our friends, Shayateen, Iblis, nobody, none of the excuses will work. Which is why we need to understand how Shaitan comes to all of us and deceives us. And he does it step by step by step by step. And he makes you do it in a way that you think when you obey him, you're doing a good deed. When you obey him, he makes you feel like you're doing a good deed. And that's how he's able to even deceive very pious human beings. And like I mentioned to you, no human being is spared of his deceptions. I'm going to narrate to you another story. Abu Abdullah Undasi rahmatullah alayhi was very pious man. He had a big he had a big school, Islamic school, and he had thousands of students who he taught Islam. And he was considered the most pious person of his time. One day, the Sheikh Abu Abdullah Undasi rahmatullah alayhi, with a number of his students, was traveling. They were traveling and camping overnight and traveling, and they arrived at a place where people were worshipping idols. And there were these places of worship, and there were idols erected on them. And Abu Abdullah looked at them, and he thought in his heart, how foolish are these people that they know that these idols are made of stone and rocks, and yet they worship him as if they were gods. He thought of this in his heart. And then they kept walking, came into the city. There was a well, and lots of men and women were pulling water out of the well. And there was this one woman who was very pretty. The Sheikh was looking at all these people and ended up looking at this woman, and just looking at her beauty, he was attracted towards her. He was attracted towards her so much that he could not take his eyes off of her. They walked away and camped a distance away. And the Sheikh became very silent. The students are all worried, like, what happened to the Sheikh? How come he's not seeing anything, saying anything? How come he's so quiet? A day passed by. He gets up at the time of prayer and prays. The next day came. He doesn't want to leave there. They still have to go some distance. So Shibli Rahmatullah was one of his students. The famous Shibli Rahmatullah was one of his students. He was with him. He went to Mrs. Sheikh, what's the problem? We still have long distance to walk. Are you feeling okay? He said, you guys go. I cannot leave here. He says, what? Why not? What happened? He said, the girl that we saw yesterday, she has taken over me and my thoughts so badly that I cannot stop thinking about her. I cannot leave here. Imagine a sheikh with 1,800 students and a big madrasa, big khanaqah. And he's saying that this picture of the woman, this thought of the woman, has taken over me so bad that I cannot live here anymore. Just please go, leave me alone. They were so heartbroken, so they just could not believe it. But there was no choice. He didn't want to go. They left and went back to their city where they came from. The rest of the city came to welcome them because Sheikh is coming back today. There was no Sheikh. So they asked him what happened. And they told him what happened. And the madrasa was finished. All the students were all dispersed. And a number of time passed. After a year or two later, some of those people who accompanied him there, they said, let's go and find out what happened to the Sheikh. So they went to the place and they saw him in the field shepherding the pigs, shepherding the pigs in the field. And there was a cross over his neck. They looked at him and could not believe. They could not believe that this is our Sheikh. So they went and said, Ya Sheikh, what is this? He says, please don't ask me what is this. Go do your thing. I'm not who you know as Sheikh anymore. Please go away. They asked him, Sheikh, you were Hafiz of Quran. Do you remember any Quran anymore? He said, I don't remember any Quran anymore. He says, Ya Sheikh, you had memorized so many hundreds of thousands of ahadith. Do you remember any of them? He says, the only one that I remember is whenever whoever turns away from his religion, kill him. And then he started to cry. He started to cry so painfully that all the pigs in the field started to cry. And he said, it's not in my control anymore. Just please leave. They went away. There was a river on the way, a lake kind of a thing, a river. They camped there for overnight. The next day, when they got up, they saw the Sheikh coming out of the lake or the river, having taken a bath and saying, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, walking out. They were so happy to see him back. They took him to the camp and said, Sheikh, what happened? For God's sake, please explain. We are dying to find out what happened. He said, when we went by their worship places and we saw all those idols that they were worshipping, this thought came to my heart. How stupid are these people that they're worshipping these idols, though can't they see it, that they can't do anything? This is right at the very minute when I had this thought in my mind, there was a voice also that came to my mind. And that voice said, do you think that the iman that you have in your heart is because of you? The iman that you have in your heart, why you worship me, God, is it because of you, because you're so pious? We can take away this iman from you in a minute. And I felt that the little bird flew out of my heart and went away, which I knew was my iman. I lost it. Why did I lose it? Because I looked down upon those people and I felt that I was better because I had iman. Even the small arrogance about your own deen can cause you major consequences from shaitan. It's the moral of the story. Like I mentioned, if we disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not live by His commands, we will suffer the consequences. The iman that we have is not ours to keep. It can be taken away anytime. We should never take pride in even being a Muslim, but we should be grateful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose us to be amongst the Muslims. You see the difference? Very often, kids especially, and even adults don't understand that we put down other people, says, we are better, we are Muslims. These are Jews. Those are Christians. We are better, we are Muslims. Don't ever do that. Don't ever belittle anybody. Don't ever look down at anybody. And if you are good, if you have some good about you, then be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that goodness. Shaitan does not leave any opportunity to deceive people. One time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was kind of dark, and he was walking his wife Safiya radiallahu anha home. And two companions passed by, and they saw this woman with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they walked very quickly, walk away. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, called him and says, come back here. And he said, with me is my wife Safiya. So the companion said, Ya Rasulullah, astaghfirullah. How could we think anything else, like anything bad about you? How can we make any wrong assumptions about you? Guys, would you play outside, please? He says, that's not the point. The point is that Shaitan waits for the opportunity to create doubts in your mind so that he can now get you to have bad zan with other people, make wrong assumptions about them. This is exactly what happened to Aisha radiallahu anha. Remember, when Aisha radiallahu anha was left behind, when they were coming back to Mecca from Bedouin, and she was left behind, she went to the bathroom, and because she was so light and used to sit in a sort of enclosed things over Camel's back, they did not know that she was not in there. So they went away. The whole army went left and left Aisha there, radiallahu anha. She came out, everybody was gone. So she put a cover on her and she laid there hoping that somebody will come. Because when the army left, there was always somebody left behind to make sure that nothing was left behind. So this Sahabi, I don't remember his name, was there, and when he came upon Aisha radiallahu anha, he saw her and says, he recognizes. He recognized her. So he immediately made the camel sit down and put Aisha on it and then brought her back to the army where they were camping. Some munafiqeen and some Sahaba, Shaitan put a doubt in their mind. What was Aisha doing with this man? And they started spreading the rumor. And as a result, such fitna, such mischief came about as a result. That Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself was very sad and did not know what to do with this thing. Shaitan is always there. What is the lesson that we need to learn? Don't ever assume wrong when you see somebody doing something. Always assume good, not wrong. And what is the lesson? when somebody doing something wrong, don't spread it. These are the lessons we learn. Shaitan also comes to us every time we try to do something good and tells us, well, you don't need to really do it. Um, what you're doing is enough. You don't need to do anything more. When we see somebody doing something wrong and we want to stop him, then Shaitan says, you're going to just cause fitna. Why don't you just do your prayer? Leave him alone. This is exactly what happened to that Jummah prayer. I was in the gym, khutbah was going on, and some kids were making bad noises in the back. And some kids are doing it all the time. So one brother stood up. Somebody was in the gym today in Jummah? No. One brother stood up and he said, brothers, please look after your kids. They are distracting everyone. It's Jummah. The other brother got him and says, sit down and just pray. That's better for you. He stops us from stopping others doing wrong as well. And if we keep doing it, if we keep believing him, why do you know why the whole ummah has lost the duty of calling for good and prohibiting people from doing wrong? It is because of this reason. We are afraid to call in. Somebody says, brother, this is wrong, don't do it. Don't distract. You know, you're running around, you're doing this, you're talking aloud, you're distracting other people from praying. It says, none of your business. You go pray, go pray, go home and pray. That's what Shaitan does. It is such an important thing that we remember that he is with us all the time, especially when we're trying to do something good. He always interferes to not let us do it or do it with something wrong in it as well. He attacks our beliefs first. There's no God. You become an atheist. Maybe there's a God, maybe there's not. You become agnostic. Once you have lost your aqidah, he leaves you alone. He doesn't want to come back to you anymore. He's done. If you don't lose your belief, if you don't lose your right aqaid, then he interferes with your good deeds and does not let you perform the good deeds to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he never leaves you and me alone. Never. Even this little children, he doesn't leave alone. He will go to each one of them and get them to do things which is not right for them to do. He doesn't leave us alone. And we have to be very careful and very conscious. The reason I spent 3 weeks talking about this is to show you the importance of how important it is that we are aware of him being around us all the time, ready to deceive us. And we should always ask Allah's protection from him. Always. May Allah protect us all, our iman, help us maintain our iman, and help us take from this earth with iman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sallam. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanallah azim. Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa illam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna minal khasirin. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inna kunna minaz zalimin. Allahumma innaka afuwun karimun rahimun tuhibbu fa'fu anna ya karim. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الميزان ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين اللهم توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين. رب أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك رب يحضرون. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم. Questions? Yes, brother. There's that people who become murtad, their punishment is killing. He went back and Allah forgave him, because Allah wanted to basically show him that his iman and his respectability, his reputation was not his own, that Allah bestowed him upon him. It wasn't Allah's gift to him, Allah's blessing to him, not his. And he needed to teach him this lesson. Yes.
So, you know how you said the story of when the village and mother tried hiding it by wearing it?
Yes.
Was Shaitan there physically?
Shaitan what?
Was Shaitan there like
Physically in a human shape.
So he was in the room?
No, when they were doing it, he was not in the room, of course. He would not appear there at that time. But he was there. But he doesn't have to be seen. Right? Yes, you have a question.
How did the Shaitan tell the man to kill the youngster?
He told him that if he didn't kill him, if he did not kill the sister and the child, then the brothers will come back and find out what he did. They're going to kill him. So they made him afraid. Get it? Okay. Anybody else? Oh, you have to enter. Okay. Speak aloud, okay? Why we can't see Shaitan? Because he doesn't have a body. This is made of like earth, like our body is. His body is not material. Like, for example, you can feel the air, but can you see the wind? Because wind doesn't have a body. So Shaitan doesn't have an earthly body. That's why we can't see him. Okay? Anybody else? Okay, we'll inshallah continue. This topic is finished for today. And we'll inshallah continue Surah Baqarah next Friday, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.